It began with a silence that lasted only seconds, but felt like the calm before a storm. Cameras zoomed in, the audience leaned forward, and Barron Trump sat across from Jasmine Crockett, his face already tense. She looked straight into the lens and spoke words that sliced through the air like a blade. America deserves the truth, and tonight, I will say what the Trump family never wanted you to hear. The crowd reacted instantly, a wave of gasps and murmurs breaking the stage's fragile calm. Barron tried to keep his composure, but his lips tightened and his eyes flickered with unease. Jasmine Crockett didn't pause. Her voice was sharp, measured, and merciless. For years, your family built its empire on secrecy and intimidation. But what happens when those secrets are dragged into the light? What happens when the truth is no longer yours to control? The tension doubled. Barron leaned toward the microphone, muttering a protest, but Crockett cut him off. "Don't interrupt me, Barron. You might be your father's son, but you cannot escape what is already written in the record. The DNA results, the documents, the whispers that turned out to be facts. And you know exactly what I'm talking about." The audience erupted. Journalists in the room started typing furiously, desperate not to miss a word. Barron's hands clenched. He had been coached for debates, trained to smile, to dismiss critics with a wave of arrogance, but nothing had prepared him for a direct strike at the heart of his family's most fragile, hidden truths. Crockett leaned back, letting her words hang in the air. "This is not about politics anymore. It's about honesty. And the Trump family has never been honest with America." Barron's voice finally cracked through the noise, louder than intended, trembling with anger. "You're lying! You're twisting things because you hate my family!" But Crockett didn't flinch. She delivered the line that turned the room into chaos. "If it were lies, Barron, you wouldn't be shaking right now." The crowd gasped again, louder, sharper, and in that moment, the meltdown began. The clash between Barron Trump and Jasmine Crockett didn't come out of nowhere. For weeks, rumors had been swirling about cracks within the Trump family's carefully polished image. Old stories resurfaced, whispers about hidden documents, questionable business ties, and even explosive DNA revelations that had once rattled the family's inner circle. The public had grown restless. Each leak, each headline seemed to pull another thread from the golden fabric of the Trump name. The timing could not have been more brutal. With Donald Trump fighting to preserve his influence and Melania retreating further into silence, Barron had suddenly been thrust into the spotlight as an unwilling defender of the family legacy. Jasmine Crockett, on the other hand, had built her reputation as a fearless firebrand in Congress. Known for her sharp tongue and refusal to back down, she thrived in high-stakes confrontations. For her, challenging the Trumps was not just politics, it was a mission to expose hypocrisy wherever it hid. The stage had been set for weeks. Media outlets teased the debate as a showdown that could rival some of the most iconic political clashes of the century. Commentators whispered that Barron was being used as the family's last card, a youthful face meant to soften the scandals surrounding his father. Crockett's allies framed the event differently, a chance to finally break through the wall of denial and force the Trump dynasty to confront its own secrets. The debate hall was packed, every seat filled with journalists, strategists, influencers, and ordinary citizens hungry for drama. Social media platforms pulsed with anticipation, hashtags already trending before a single word was spoken. When Barron entered, tall and stiff, flashes lit the room. He wore his father's confidence like armor, but there was a nervousness behind his eyes. He knew he was walking into a lion's den. And facing him, Jasmine Crockett radiated calm intensity, her every gesture promising that she would not be silenced. By the time moderators introduced the participants, the tension was unbearable. The crowd understood they weren't just watching a debate. They were witnessing the collision of two forces, one representing a dynasty desperately clinging to power, the other determined to tear down its walls of secrecy brick by brick. And as the first questions landed, it became clear. This was not going to be a polite exchange of talking points. This was going to be war. The opening exchanges started cautiously, but Crockett wasted no time steering the debate into dangerous waters. She leaned forward, her voice steady yet sharp. "Barron, you sit here defending a legacy built on lies. Do you really think America doesn't remember the DNA revelations? Do you think people forgot how your family scrambled to bury the truth? Barron's face flushed. He shot back with a trembling defiance. My family has been attacked for years. You and the rest of your party will say anything to destroy us, but the truth is, none of you have ever proven a thing. Crockett smirked, unfazed. Oh, it's been proven, Barron. The documents are there, the results are public. Your family wanted to hide them, but they couldn't. And when the world saw them, it shattered the image your father spent decades manufacturing. The crowd gasped. Barron slammed his hand on the table. You're exploiting private pain! You're dragging my family through the mud just to get attention! Crockett's reply was ice cold. No, I'm dragging the truth into the light, and the only reason it hurts is because it's real. If you can't face that, then maybe you shouldn't be here defending the indefensible. The moderators tried to regain control, but the exchange had already spiraled. The audience leaned in closer, captivated by the raw intensity. Barron snapped again, his voice rising. You think you're some kind of hero? You're nothing but a political opportunist who thrives on tearing people down. Crockett didn't blink. She delivered her next line like a hammer striking steel. I don't tear people down, Barron. I tear down lies. And right now, the biggest lie in America is the idea that the Trump family deserves to be trusted. The words echoed through the hall. Barron froze for a moment, his chest heaving as if he were trying to summon a response. But the silence that followed made him appear cornered, exposed, and shaken. Crockett pressed harder, her voice growing more forceful. You call this an attack, but the real attack has been your family's deception. Decades of manipulation, cover-ups, and denial. And the young man sitting across from me tonight has inherited not strength, but the burden of those lies. Barron erupted, shouting into the microphone. Stop talking about my family like you know us. You don't know anything. You weren't there. You don't understand what we've lived through. But Crockett cut him down with a single sentence. I don't need to have lived it, Barron. America lived it, and they are done being deceived. The audience roared. Some clapped, some booed, but no one was silent. The battle lines were drawn, and the storm was only growing stronger. The debate reached a fever pitch. Every exchange seemed sharper than the last, every word more venomous, until Crockett suddenly leaned forward and delivered the line that silenced the room. You know what terrifies your family most, Barron? Not the scandals, not the lawsuits, not even the investigations. What terrifies them is that the truth about who you are, about what they've hidden from you, is now public. The audience gasped in unison. Barron's jaw dropped. For the first time that night, his confidence crumbled before millions of viewers. His voice cracked as he shouted back, That's a lie! You don't know anything about me. You're just trying to humiliate us! Crockett didn't flinch. She looked directly at him, her words landing like thunder. Humiliation only happens when shame is exposed. And tonight, I'm exposing the shame your family tried to bury for decades. The crowd erupted, half in cheers, half in outrage. The moderators desperately tried to regain control, but the debate had already escaped their grasp. Barron's voice rose to a scream. You have no right! You don't get to decide what's true about my family. You're a disgrace to this country. But Crockett struck with the final blow. She slammed her hand on the table and declared, No, Barron. The disgrace is pretending lies are truth, and America is finished pretending. The hall shook with noise. Journalists typed furiously, headlines practically writing themselves. Barron's face twisted in fury, his meltdown complete, as Crockett sat calmly, her words echoing through every microphone, every camera, every screen. The climax had arrived, and with it, the moment that would be replayed across the world for days to come. As the echoes of the clash settled into a tense hush, Jasmine Crockett rose slightly in her chair, her voice steady, controlled, and unshaken. This is bigger than Barron Trump, bigger than one family. This is about whether America will keep letting power hide its secrets, or whether we finally demand the truth, no matter how uncomfortable it is. Her words cut through the noise like a verdict. The audience, restless and divided, sat suspended between outrage and awe. Some cheered, some booed, but every eye was fixed on the stage. Barron slumped back, his face pale with anger and disbelief. He muttered into the microphone, almost whispering, "You'll regret this. My family will never forgive you." But Crockett's response came like the closing stroke of a gavel. "History doesn't ask for forgiveness, Barron. It demands accountability." The moderators quickly declared the debate over, their voices barely audible over the thunder of reactions in the hall. Reporters stormed the aisles, microphones flashing, questions flying. Social media exploded instantly, clips of Barron's meltdown spreading across every platform, hashtags igniting like wildfire. By the time the broadcast ended, one thing was clear: the night belonged to Jasmine Crockett. She had taken on the Trump dynasty head-on, peeled back layers of secrecy, and left America questioning what else might be hidden. For Barron, the moment would linger like a scar, replayed endlessly, dissected ruthlessly, a reminder that even the most powerful families cannot silence the truth forever. And for millions watching, the final words rang louder than anything else. The age of silence is over. The age of truth has begun.